Hello, everybody, welcome. It was a psych investigator. Hello, everybody, welcome. It was a psych investigator. So I look a little rough. Long story, guys. I was doing the Venezuela reading. Of course, sometimes I try new things. It was really, it took me 5 hours or more, just because I was doing this micro like sections, and I realized it just takes too long, to edit. But I did do the cards for Tim Waltz earlier, and it's so interesting, and I want to talk about it. And I want to do also visions for this, okay? But let's do the protection. I'd like to ask for protection, a beautiful ray of light coming on top of my head as I breathe in. I fill my lungs as I breathe out. I create a circle. I create a circle. I step into it. I step into it. I feel protected. I feel connected. I'd like to ask that information come only from the highest sources, that I create the good and only the good, and so it is. So, I received a message from Kathy Beal, professional aquarian, and she was telling me about um, the story with Tim Waltz not leaving, stopping his campaign. And I asked a lot of questions about this, and you see it. And it was, guys, it's like there's something kind of sad about, the reading, because it shows like he's under a lot of pressure. He's very depressed. It's very, and I got this impression that he's under threat, like they legit threaten him. But ultimately, things are going to, like, there's going to be good surprises for him. Okay, I also asked about Kamala and him. But it's interesting. It looks like the whole year he'll be kind of like freaked out. Okay. But that's that. All right. I talk also about the guy. There's a Nick something, some right winger dude who's like who's the one behind the whole Somali situation, the propaganda thing. So we'll look into it. Okay. So let's get started. All right, so this is a message from Kathy Beal, like I said, and here just reading the relevant part. I'm writing about Tim Walz withdrawing from his governor race. My sense is that the hit jobs on him and Mike Lindell's running for that office are a tell. I think it's more than T going after a perceived enemy. I think it's an attempt to get ahead of a story. There's noise on threads about this freeing him up to team with Kamala. I don't know about the part, but I think his resigning is more than protecting his family. I think it's a sign that something is up. Governor Tim Walz drops reelection bid, and Amy Klobuchar may run instead. Mr. Walz said a growing scandal over fraud in social services programs led him to abandon his run for a third term as governor of Minnesota. Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota said on Monday that he was abandoning his bid for reelection to a third term, and Senator Amy Klobuchar, a valid Democrat, is considering seeking the office. Two people briefed on conversations between the two politicians said. Mr. Walz and Ms. Klobuchar met on Sunday in Minnesota, where he informed her of his plans, and she confirmed her interest in running to succeed him. For Mr. Walz, the Democratic nominee for vice president in 2024 election, the departure caps a brief rise in national politics. Mr. Walz said a widening scandal over fraud in social services programs in Minnesota had persuaded him to drop out of the race. He had been criticized for his administration's oversight of the programs and its failure to prevent widespread fraud. I come to the conclusion that I can't give a political campaign my all, Mr. Walz said in a statement he read aloud during a news conference on Monday. Every minute I spend defending my own political interests will be a minute I can't spend defending the people of Minnesota against the criminals who prey on our generosity and the cynics who prey on our differences. Ms. Klobuchar did not respond to requests for comment on Monday morning. Mr. Walz's decision draws a race that had drawn an unusually large and strong slate of Republican candidates, including the Speaker of the Minnesota House, Lisa Demuth, and Mike Lindell, the chief executive of MyPillow and an ally of President Trump. Republicans have not won a statewide race in Minnesota since 2006, but they have expressed confidence that this year's governor's race would be different. Democrats in the state had voiced concern In recent weeks, the Mr. Walz's presence on the ticket might hurt other Democrats in November. Mr. Walz's exit comes amid national scrutiny of his handling of the welfare fraud scandal, which Mr. Trump and other top Republicans have assailed him for in recent weeks. Okay, so Tim Walz, why is he really dropping out of the race? What is the background of this? Okay, so the first row we have ship from Lenormand, meaning departure. And then the next card we have child, meaning literally child or new beginning. But I think in this context, it could mean the child because the child has the context of like the supposed fraud. But we have here on top the child and the departure and then the fox. So that's treachery related to children. Then the next image is the next row. We have the short illness and the woman and the man in bed. The next card is visions, and the next one after that is a deal of some sort, happiness and love. So again, it's so weird. There is both, of course, the connection between the so-called fraud, which is the first row, but on the second row, honestly, it feels to me as if it's another serious attempt to distract from the crimes of Trump. We have now the visions card combined with the card that's suggesting some sort of sexual activity, right? To me, it feels like that. Then the third row, we have the lovers upside down, the emperor upside down, and then the five of swords upside down, which is a card that literally says defeat. So there are shady people wanting to create defeat for Tim Walz. So you look at the lovers card upside down, a shady group of people working together with a corrupt, powerful person to create defeat, right? Then below that, we have the woman and a surprise. The woman has a surprise exposing the theft because the last card is a theft, right? But then if we look at columns, we have the ship, the couple together, then we have lovers upside down and woman. So again, wanting to create departure as a means to like empty out the stuff in the Epstein files, right? To blame others other than Trump. Then the center we have the child, the visions, now some sort of illusion related to children, abuse of power, and a surprise. And the last column is the fox, meaning treachery, deals to do treachery to create an ending, to create a defeat. But then ultimately the last card here is that the theft ends up being exposed, which makes a lot of sense. Hello guys, so today is Tuesday, January 6th. So I actually did most of the video about this topic yesterday, but it's I feel like I've been out of the game for it took about 20 days off or something, did I? And so it's it's interesting how also I'm here in Brazil and my parents and dealing with their uh aging parents becoming kind of a caretaker, right? On some levels. So I think a lot of different things happening at once. But anyway, so the point is, I organized the questions and I pulled all these cards and I made videos of all the cards. And then I'm like, yesterday when I did the video about the VP of Venezuela and what's happening next over there and stuff, I had to like re-record myself reading, which was so weird. It was like too much. So the point is right now that I decided to just kind of delete the rest that I had already recorded and start just do the questions with visions, which I've always felt as a purist. So let's just get to it like this, okay? So I'm gonna do the protection again just because it's a new day for this. Okay, so I'd like to ask for protection. A beautiful ray of light's coming on top of my head as I breathe in. I fill my lungs as I breathe out. I create a circle. I create a circle. I step into it. I step into it. I feel protected. I feel connected. I like to ask that information come only from the highest sources that I create the good and all the good. So it is. Okay, so I'm going to get to the questions. Okay, so the first question is, why is Tim Walz really dropping out of the race in Minnesota? What is the real reason for him to do that? It's interesting. I see him walking, and there's these like pointed things coming out on his path, and they start to cut him, almost like these beaks or like these sharp points coming at him, like and one is like bigger, and it pierces through his stomach, and essentially hurt, like physically hurts him, wounds him. That's the word, wounding. So, and I see that these other beaks and sharp points cut him on the surface, but still is like, it's a quote unquote death by 1,000 cuts. So it feels to me like he's being attacked from all sides. And because he feels wounded in this vision, he feels like he does not have the strength to keep going. And it's interesting because yesterday, right, when I did I think I'm gonna keep just the first answer here. I saw that there's, of course, the issue of the Somali propaganda thing, and even though we know that a lot of it is propaganda, most of it, right, or all of it, uh, he takes it personally. It really does affect him, in fact. So that's the answer. Okay. All right. So now let's go to the next question here. What will 2026 be like for Tim Walz? Now, again, since like I said, I don't want to go show you, I don't have to show you all the cards because, like I said, it takes a long time, and it's me just reading the cards and explaining blah blah. But I remember very clearly, it's still with me today, that yesterday's cards about this particular question were harsh, and it showed me that he's really mentally affected by this, that there's a lot of stress. He's just very, very stressed out, and it's really it's hurting him. Okay, this all of this, all these attacks on Minnesota, on him, and I feel like it really hurts him, the attack on children, right? There's people exploiting children, and also that he's being attacked for wanting to help children. So it's like, it really, I feel like these have really hurt him, especially since he's so popular. And as I'm telling you this, I see Trump's face, ha ha ha. They went after him, right? Knowing that he's so charismatic and he's president material if he ever wanted to run, because he's just so likable. He is Mr. America, I feel like, in a lot of ways. So, okay. So this is it. But let me actually ask, okay, so what will 2026 be like for Tim Walz? Okay, so right now I see him walking wounded. There's these open wounds going on, and he's very sad. He's truly, I feel like he's depressed or really, really sad. Not just sad, like, oh, I'm sad, but really he feels devastated by everything. Then I see that he keeps walking and towards closer to this summer, he decides that he realizes he can pull out these sharp objects that feel like they're still inside his body. So he pulls these things out. He starts to heal and to feel strong again. And he realizes that he was, I would say, this word, even the word victim is charged, but was a victim of this, like, honestly, it's psyops, and also like energetic attacks. They feel like very much like these very evil, energetic attacks on him because he's such a good person. He's so empathetic, right? So it's saying it's going to be this year is going to be a year of healing, of a lot of pain and healing, and feeling strong after this very traumatic experience, because again, it feels like PTSD, like it's affected him so much. So, okay. So interesting, right? To see. All right. Okay. So let's go to the next question. Now, the next question is, loaded. Um, and it's about Kamala and him. Okay. And the question is, what will 2026 be like between Kamala and Tim Walz? How do they intersect, right? And I had actually done a question that I hadn't written out, but came up, because the bottom line is like, is he going to be in? I don't say ticket again with Kamala, but could he go to the White House? Something like assuming that the vision about Kamala is going to eventually happen, right? At least she'll be recognized as a winner and such, right? I hope. I do feel it. Like she won. That's the problem. I mean, that's the real issue. I want that to come out. Okay. So, and of course, that's going to affect him. So let's see. First question. How do Tim Walz and Kamala intersect in 2026? So I see Kamala. It's interesting. I seen her when I went to her book tour, and I sat, and she was sitting in a chair, in the same position as if she's there, and she's trying to reach out to. She sees what's going on with well, she reaches out to him, and he's more distant. And I see also that this is actually sad, right? That some of the people that were involved in trying to get Biden to like drop out are the same people who are involved in wanting Waltz to drop out. And I feel like she tells him that. Like she tells him that the same people that were against, in a way, I think they were against her. There was like this group of some Democrats that are like, oh, he shouldn't run. There was like the connection to Kamala, blah, blah, blah. So he starts to believe that to a degree. He starts to believe that there's something kind of like, oh, it's like I made Kamala lose the election. Like he's blaming. So I feel like there's some sort of depression related to him here. So he's going through this. And then I see that he's shutting down a bit, in the sense that, like I said, Kamala reached out to him, and I see that she's like, she can't talk about these other things related to the election. And I feel like it shows me that she and him had a conversation then about fighting back and pushing, let's go, let's fight, and he's like, well, I don't know that I want to go against, such and such, and go against the Democratic establishment or whatever. It's too much work. I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And so, but she feels like she's letting him take his time and stay where he feels safe. But I feel like eventually he reaches out to her when there is movement. And I see him saying, "You were right all along. You were right about everything." Because then he realizes, I internalized some of these things, and things were so much worse than I ever acknowledged, and they are responsible for everything. So like, then I see again, he's in a different place. He feels more healed, but I think almost like it shows me, I don't know, I get the 60% of this year is going to be for him very depressing, and like fighting back and being very, like, it's as if honestly, guys, it's like as if he's in some sort of like abusive relationship. Like where his mindset is, he starts to believe the things that he reads about himself, and he starts to think there's something wrong with him. It must be him. Instead, it's a very, very, very sophisticated psychological operation, political operation to take him down and to take away the power of the Democrats in Minnesota. Okay. Oof. Okay. All right. All right. So, okay. So let me drink here a coffee. Okay. Then the other question I asked was about that man, Nick Shirley. The Nick Shirley is this guy that came out of nowhere wearing a Polly Market sweater and saying all that, doing these so-called, viral videos about some sort of fraud in Minnesota. And it turns out I think it was last year, or was it, or 20, when I think Biden was still president, he paid people to protest in front of the White House and say these things about Biden. And so that's the same person, right? It's a political operative, and all these tech bros love him, which is very suspicious, right? So so that's this person because he's so involved in this operation. So what is up with this guy, and what's going to happen to him? Nick Shirley, the man behind this Somali propaganda operation. What is up with that? It's funny. I see him in a. It's like the picture, the meme about the burning, the dog in the burning house, like as if he's in hell, and there's like a devil creature there, and the devil people are there, and they're the tech bros, and and I see there's a leash on his neck. He's a pet. He's their pet, and he's being trained to do exactly what they want, and he's happy. And I see he gets the rewards, treats for this, and so wow. Then I see a scythe cutting him in half, and then there's a crack on the floor, the ground, and he's separated from the tech bros. The tech bros are burning, and he's forced to have, and I see that he's apprehended, and he has to, and then he suddenly realizes he has to tell the truth or spend a decade in prison or something. And he realizes that the tech bros made him do things that were illegal, and they always promised him that they would take care of him. But when push comes to shove, it will not happen that way. And it's saying that a lot of the people that he's targeting will eventually sue him. So he's going to have to respond to all these lawsuits, and it will be very complicated. Okay. So, interesting informations, interesting informations. Okay, now something that I also picked up yesterday when I did the cards, on the cards themselves, and then I also just got this strong feeling, like an intuitive vision about this, that Tim Walz is being uh, like threatened. Okay, so the question is here is are Tim Walz fam are Tim Walz and or his family being threatened by Trump and his cronies? Because to me, like I said, it feels like sorry, I heard it was like, when the air conditioning is on and then it suddenly jumps into like woo. So I'm so funny. I get easily frightened by like sounds. So anyway, so again, the question is what kinds of threats? Because I see, like I said, he's terrified. Tim Walz is, and that's what I get about him. He is terrified, which would indicate that he there's something happening to him that is bigger. Okay, so the question is Tim Walz being threatened, and his family being? Yeah, I see that he's looking inside of his house. There's like blinds, and he's looking out. There's people following them. It's like they're following us, and they seem to know where they are. The same thing with the kids, that there's people following them. The daughter, especially, whatever I think she might be in college or something, and it feels scary to them because again, they're like regular people. They're not used to this, even when they were running for office. But now that they no longer have the Secret Service protection, it feels truly scary. And I see that they're seeing somebody practicing like target practice or something, and they're afraid that the guy could go after him and his family. He might have moved actually to a different place so he can like protect himself from any threats. Truly, he is terrified, yes. But let me ask then, are these threats one of the reasons or a reason why he quit the race? Yes, because I feel like now is the time to take care of my family, what I put them through. He feels very guilty. Like again, it's not his fault, right? But it's like, oh, I should have been happy with what I have. Why did I have to go out there? Why did I have to run for vice president with Kamala? But in fact, he did the right thing, and he's a wonderful person. And it was like an electric ticket. It's just that they were robbed, right? So again, guys, it's very sad. what I see here. He is truly affected by this. Now, because it's like, so then I'm left with this other question. Is there going to be justice for him? Meaning, is the truth going to come out about it? And is there going to be some sort of legal outcome? Obviously not right now because nothing is happening. There's no law, almost, right? But what's going to happen to him down the line? Is he going to be okay? Yeah, I see him eventually, yes, coming to the White House. And I wonder, guys, honestly, if I feel like he may take a break, but he may come back later and become a secretary of something. I don't quite know, but I feel like right now he's questioning everything because he's so scared. But I see that it shows me Kamala giving a speech, and then everything is like shining in the background. Better times. Okay. So, all right. All right. So thanks for watching, and thank you for staying with me as I test these methods as always. Different methods, different ways of making videos. Okay. All right. Okay. Bye.